Welcome back to my macrame flowers series. Today I'm going to show you how to do this macraweave. Stay tuned. Don't forget to take a screenshot of today's project details. Now let's get started. First, attach all 20 cords onto your wooden dowel using a lark's head knot. And here's a quick tip. This is an easier way to attach lark's head knots onto your wooden dowel. It's much faster. You just loop it around your fingers and slide it onto your dowel. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly attach all 20 cords. Next, we will be tying 3 rows of alternating square knots. To make a square knot, fold your left cord over top of your 2 centers, then with your right cord, wrap it behind and through the loop of your left. Secure your half square knot all the way up to the top. Then we'll repeat the same process but on the right. So take your right cord and place it over top of your 2 centers, and then your left cord wraps behind and through your right loop. As always, if I'm going too fast for you, you can always adjust the speed of this video by tapping the 3 dots on the top right corner. Or feel free to check out my knot tutorial playlist. I'll link it in the cards above. Alright, so to alternate your square knots, you skip the first 2 cords, and then with the next set of 4 cords, you tie another square knot. This creates a lattice type of pattern, and it also joins your 2 square knots above together. Okay, so once you have all 3 rows of alternating square knots, find the center of your work and divide your cords in half. What we're going to be doing is creating a diamond-shaped void in the center. So we're going to alternate our square knots again, but this time in this first half we're going to skip out the last 2 cords. Okay, so we're going to repeat the same process in every row, and we're going to continue decreasing by 2 cords until we have 8 cords left in total. Okay, so now you can see that we've gone all the way down and decreased, and now we have 8 cords left over. Okay, so we're going to repeat the same process over on the other side. Next, we're going to outline it in a row of double half hitches. So take the 2 center cords right in the middle and cross them over. The center right is now going to be your filler cord for your left side. So next we're going to be tying double half hitches all the way down until we reach those last 8 cords. Okay, make sure you stop right at your last 8 cords. And of course, we're going to do the same thing to the opposite side. Next, we're going to be closing our diamond shape by doing more double half hitches. But instead of using our original filler cord, we're going to be using the cord right directly next to it. This will give the side of our diamond a nice sharp point. And please note, this is the trickiest part of this pattern. You have to be very precise. If you're not exactly in line in the diamond shape, it'll throw off the rest of your square knots. Okay, once we've done both sides, we're going to tie our 2 filler cords together, which closes the gap. All this empty center cords in the middle is going to be our warp for our weaving. Next, we're going to fill in the rest of our square knots. To finish off our square knot pattern, I'm going to do more alternating square knots, but decreasing into a V shape. Okay, now on to the weaving portion. So grab your yellow cord and tie it onto one of the center middle cords. Now, you can tie just a regular overhand knot, but what I'm going to do is a slip knot. Also, I'm gonna warn you, I am not the best weaver. I can weave, but macrame is more my thing. Okay, so with your long cord, form a loop. We're gonna take that loop and place it behind one of our warps. Then we're gonna take the long end of our cord and make another loop. And we're gonna slide that loop inside of our first one and secure that tight. This is actually another variation of a raya knot. And technically this is really the only type of weaving that's in this Macraweave. So this is a very beginner entry-level Macraweave. And because I'm really not the best weaver, I'm gonna link in the cards above another YouTuber that is fantastic at weaving. Okay, so carrying on, I'm gonna make another loop and place it behind one of our warps. Then take another loop and place that inside of our first loop and secure it tight. Now, I'm not exactly confident in my raya knots, so I'm gonna tie a half hitch around my loop just to make sure it's extra snug. So I will be doing 2 more raya knots right in the center of our warp here. Now there's really no right or wrong way to do this. If you want more yellow in the center, add more, and if you don't, then you just leave it at 4. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring out the big guns. This is roving. It's very thick and soft wool, and I happen to purchase the largest gauge. Because it's so thick, I'm gonna actually divide mine in 2. And just like the yellow center, we're gonna be tying raya knots. So make your 2 loops, and once you have it on there, I am going to tie our small short tail end onto our long end, just so that it's attached to the warp. However, because our roving is so thick, I'm a lot more confident in it staying put, so I will not be tying half hitches around our loops. The raya knots work just fine. So I'm gonna work my way all the way around our yellow raya cords. Next, it's time to create our filler. So with jute and some green wool, I'm gonna be creating some leaves. So working with about an 18-inch strand or so, I'm going to be tying a knot right at the loop end. I'm going to take that loop and I'm going to pin it to my board. Then taking a long, about 60-inch cord, I'm going to find the center and place the center behind our first set of cords, and I'm going to be tying a square knot. This first knot's going to look a little bit of a jumbled mess, but stick with me here. Okay, so once you have your first square knot on there, it's a little bit more manageable. We're going to be tying a series of square knot picots. So to do this, you tie another square knot, but this time we're going to space it further down. Then all you have to do once it's secure is push it up to the top. So we're going to keep doing this. And as I go along, I'm going to increase the distance of our square knots. By doing this, it helps create that leaf shape. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so to finish off the bottom of our leaf, what I'm going to do is tie a couple of regular square knots. That way it gives it kind of a stem. Also, I'm going to do this a couple more times but in green wool, and I'm going to vary the sizes. Next, to make the small flowers, I'm going to wind some yarn around my hand, and then I'm going to secure it together by tying a knot using another strand of yarn. Now, to turn it into a bud-like flower, I'm going to tie another cord around the base of our yarn. Okay, I'm going to put that off to the side and I'm going to create another little filler piece. Okay, so grabbing about a 60-inch strand of green wool, I'm going to tie an overhand knot about 8 inches away from the end. Then I'm going to pin that knot onto my board, and then I'm going to be tying a series of spiral half hitches. To tie a spiral half hitch, you make a loop and you pull your long strand in through the loop. Then you repeat the same thing. You make a loop and you pull your strand right through the loop. And you keep doing this, and the longer you go, the more it starts spiraling around. So I'm going to carry on doing this until it's about 1.5 inches long. Then I'm going to pin it off to the side, and I'm going to do the exact same thing, only about 2 inches long this time. Then, taking both pieces, I'm going to pin them together. Then I'm going to carry on with my half hitches, but this time I'm going to tie the half hitches around all the cords together. That way it joins our two stems together. And I'm going to carry on doing this until it's another couple inches long. And it should look something like this. Next is the fun part, and we start arranging it onto our macrame. So to do this, all I really am doing is I'm taking one of the strands and I'm pulling it behind our warp, and then with the opposite strand, I'm just going to tie a regular double overhand knot. With our excess yarn, I will weave it in behind and tuck it behind our work. So feel free to arrange your pieces however you please. I'm going to weave this branch right up at the top here, but you do whatever you want to do. You can omit the branch, or you can add more leaves, or you can check out my flower tutorial series and you can use one of those flowers and weave that into this piece. Really, there's no right or wrong way to do this. So what I'm going to do is play around with the different leaves and flowers and shapes. With this set of leaves, I actually really liked having the yarn hang down, so that's another option you can do. Once you've attached all your pieces, give it a good fluff and make sure you have it to your liking. Next, we're going to secure the back. So if you've watched my vertical double half hitch patterns, what I like to do is just tie a whole bunch of different knots and cut off the excess string. Next, we're going to trim the fringe. And what I like to do is to tape it out with painter's tape. That way it makes everything in line and easier to cut. If you like this video, please do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, I sure hope you consider subscribing. Also, here's the link to my flower series. I'll see you over there.